Welcome to the Sit Down presented by Visa. Christian Jack alongside the gaffer, Jesse Marsch. How are you?
Good.
Great to see you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, great to see you too. We're here in Charlotte, North Carolina on May 27th. The World Cup is getting really close. How are you feeling getting ready?
Yeah, we're excited. The preparation has been going on for quite a while yet, so it's really just about with the staff sort of organizing everything. And I had a really good meeting with the leaders in the team last night. Obviously, having everybody here, the energy is always so good. We're getting healthy, so feel good about a lot of things. There's been a lot of positive developments over the last week to 10 days, so we feel like we're going to have some good momentum and then get ourselves ready to go.
We're about 48 hours away from you officially announcing your squad. We'll get into that a little bit by position shortly, but it's the first time you and I get to chat since you've signed a new contract, all the way to 2030. First of all, congratulations on that. And how important was it for you and the organization just to try and, if you were going to do it before the World Cup, get it done now?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, Kevin and I have been talking about this for a while, and he just had to, it took him some time to travel around and meet the families that contributed to having me here. I'm very thankful to all the families that believe in what we're doing here. And I think it's more, obviously it's my contract, but I think it's more about the overall program and what Kevin and I and Peter have been building together. Also our relationship with Casey and the women's program, Kenneth Heiner-Mueller coming in and kind of how everything is coming together. And so obviously, again, it's my contract, but I think it's more a statement about what we're doing as an organization and how we're going to continue to build. So I'm excited to, have it done and out of the way. But I was always focused on getting the team ready. The team knows that. We talked a little bit quickly with them, but everybody's fully focused on what's at hand.
Fair. 2 years ago and 2 weeks was the moment that it was announced. So that's how long it was when it was announced. I think I speak for most Canadians to think that when they got someone with your resume and your credibility, they thought, okay, great, Q, it's a World Cup, and then it would be something else after the World Cup. During your tenure, when was the time where you thought, I want more of this?
Pretty early. Look, I always have said that a big motivation of coming here was Kevin. And when I got to know him more and more through Copa America and after, and when we started talking about our overall vision for what we wanted to create, it's not like I was the sport director, but in some ways I was the de facto sport director because I was the one that was working with Kevin. And so how we worked to find Casey and bring Casey in, how we worked to get Kenneth and bring Kenneth in, how we continue to invest in all areas of the sport in the country. I mean, I could see that the mentality of the communities, of the soccer communities, I could see that the mentality of the players in the national team, I could see that everything kind of fit the way I had hoped that it would, even better. And so, we pretty early on, I was saying to him, like, I can imagine doing this for a longer period of time. A big key for me was also making sure that Kevin's going to be around.
Right.
So there's even things in my contract about, that I want Kevin to stay and make sure that the board is supportive, and I was assured of that of many levels. But like Kevin is a big part of what we're doing here, and he's a big part of my drive to be here because he's such a great partner to have, and he's such an intelligent sports business person. So, yeah, I mean, I'm aligned with him on so many things, and I think in the country we're aligned on a lot of things in terms of what we need to do. And then, I know my day job, so I know we have to win this summer, and we will.
Let's get into that then. We'll talk about your day job. There'll be plenty of times to address the other stuff after the World Cup. So as I said, we're 48 hours away from it. You've already named your 3 goalkeepers, so let's start there first of all. And then we'll go through by position ahead of Friday's announcement. As of today, do you know, I know you're not going to tell me, do you know who your number 1 is now?
No.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to use the last week here of information to make the decision. And it's really close, as it has been the whole time. And a lot of it for me has to do with even the stability of the overall team and what that looks like and what I think our needs are as a team. So it's easy for everybody on the outside to go, oh, I like Dane, I like Max, whatever, But in the end, it's about, the form that they're in, the mental state of each person, and then also how it fits with what we think the makeup of our team is going to be. And with a question mark on a lot of things in the back line, we're trying to sort through that. We have an 11v11 today in training, so we'll be able to look at some things. and then, it'll be about kind of making the decision that's best overall for what's the best fit for the team. So, again, what I told both of those guys is I can't make a wrong decision. I know that they'll both perform in an excellent manner. And so, we're taking their time, and it'll be a hard message to tell one of them that they're not going to be the starting goalkeeper. That's for sure.
Very fair. Do you mind just going a little bit more into detail, just for context there, where you say the overall balance of the team? What do you mean by that? What do you need out of one player over another for playing with a certain style? What do you mean by that?
Look, it has to do with just the balance of players and the form of the players, and then what they provide in terms of how aggressive we can be with our back line, how aggressive we can be with some of our build-up ideas, and how each goalkeeper might fit in a little bit differently.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go too much into it.
No, that's fair. But it's fair to say that you want to name a goalkeeper before the Ireland game.
Yes.
Okay, fair. In defence, Alfie Jones is here, and I think a player that Canada's not quite sure about how good he is yet. He's been a fantastic pro and played very well in the one game that you had him playing right side and left side when Derek got off injured. What do you like of Alfie so far, and how well is he trending towards getting in on Friday?
Well, he's an experienced guy, and he's an athletic guy, and he's a smart guy. So even when I spoke to Kieran, the sport director at Middlesbrough, he said that Alfie was trending toward team of the season in the championship if it weren't for the injury. And I agree with that. He was having a really good year, and then ultimately Middlesbrough, got to the final match and then lost to Liam in Hull. But I think if they would have had Alfie, that they would have secured an automatic bid in one of the first or second places because he was playing that well. So we know we have a good player. We have also a person that understands who we are and how to integrate himself. Like, he's very mature. So when you see him in our setting, he's very open, and he's a good guy, and he's fun to be around, but he's also very mature and focused on what it takes to be good at what he does. So his acclimation or assimilation into the team was almost seamless. So, the injury has taken far too long. He's trending in a really good way. He's in full training now, and I think that he's trending in a way that we think he'll be available.
Okay, Alphonso Davies is not here. There are players who've gone through significant injuries, like Alfie Jones, that we just mentioned, Moise Bombito, and many others that are here. I know that you've been very publicly supportive of Alphonso and Bayern, but is it just strictly the magnitude of that club as to why he's not here?
Well, it's that, plus in Germany, he can get different kinds of treatments than he can get here in North America, right? So they do some different kinds of injections, they do some different kinds of medications, and often some of those are a little bit more modern and forward thinking, and whereas in North America, they don't always pass the standards of what's accepted. So that is one factor, along with just we wanted to have some continuity. So look, we've worked really well with Bayern, and Alphonso now has also made some good decisions about, look, I need this, and then I need this, and then I'll be ready for this. So obviously we'd want him here, right? He's our captain, and we want him a big part of things. But the best thing he can do right now for the national team is get himself as healthy, as fast as he can. And so that's what we're focused on. And then when he gets here, we know that we'll be able to accelerate his overall assimilation into the team. This is Alphonso's really well liked in the group. Alphonso's really well respected. Everyone knows that we're a better team with Alphonso at his top. So we just got to find a way to expedite and make sure that we're on as good a path as possible so he can be ready as quickly as possible.
And if he doesn't get to play in the opening game, the moment he reaches the pitch, he'll maintain the captaincy?
Yeah, he's our captain.
Okay.
And then until then, Steph will be our vice. He's our vice captain, and Steph will be ready to lead the team. But that part's always been pretty easy. The guys aren't overly worried about who the captain is and who's talking and they all contribute. And the leadership council in general is a group that's really strong and really unified together. So we need Alphonso here because of his energy and his leadership, but we also have plenty of guys that are really good at that and have taken that mantle and done really well with it.
You guided me to my next question, which is a little bit about midfield and Steph and the leadership council. You met with them last night. What can you tell us about that meeting? It seems like the entire camp so far, some of the trending topics have been calmness. Yeah. And so what is it about what you're trying to build there in terms of going into what is going to be, as you mentioned in other interviews, an incredibly magnifying World Cup with a lot of people looking at this and a lot of noise on the outside? What are you kind of working on internally?
It's kind of funny because I think on the inside, we are very calm. We're focused on the matches. it's easier to do here. You know, we've talked about some things this week and last week. It's easier to do here where we're a little bit in isolation. Last week we had nobody here. Now you guys show up, so there's a little bit more attention. Once we land in Canada, it'll blow up a little bit. But I think our ability to just really, like, and I think the players learned this last World Cup. I think it was such a big moment for all of them to make the World Cup and playing against the teams they played against. And I think they learned that almost too much attention and energy was put into the moment and not enough into the actual matches.
Right.
And so we're laser focused on preparation for the opponents, preparation for what we want to be and what we want to look like, making sure that we don't have to do anything extraordinary as a team. We have to stick to who we are and do it at a high level. And if we do that, we know we're a good team. So, you know, I think that that's one of the things when I sit with the leaders in the team is I don't have to make any massive statements. They're confident, they're calm, and they know we're ready. So it's a very soothing feeling to have as their coach. But I already knew that.
Stefan Eustáquio is incredibly important to you and for Canada. And you mentioned the last World Cup, he wasn't fit, and it cost Canada a lot. Like he didn't get to play as much as anywhere near that he wanted to play. He hasn't played that much for you lately, but when you've seen him now, how is he doing and how important is he? What does he do for you on the field as a leader and a midfield general?
Yeah, I think he's our most vocal player. I think he's one of our smartest players in the middle of the pitch. I think he knows how to get the best of the players around him, which is really key. He's very stable. He doesn't, like, frankly, he just doesn't make a lot of mistakes, right? He's really intelligent in the way he moves around and sees things. He knows how to position himself and others around him. He's one of the most vocal guys. So all of that leads to him having a much bigger presence than the plays he makes. Right. And look, we're pushing every player to be more of that. You know, to see things that are happening on the pitch, to be able to communicate and talk with players around them. They understand our tactics and our behaviors, I think, are really well ingrained with our core group. And now it's about analyzing also what's the opponent doing, what's the match like on the day, is this working, is it not working, do we need to do a little bit more of something else? And obviously that's my job as the tactician off the pitch when I'm watching the match, but the more that they can analyze and understand, when they're doing that, then we always try to do this. Yep. When we're doing this and they're doing that, then we can even do this a little bit more. And so even we're having things like tactical quizzes and what-ifs quizzes and making sure that the players are as clear and unified in their vision as to what the game needs to look like and how we're ready to adjust no matter what happens. And that, I think, the benefit we have is we've had some time together, we have a clear identity in the way we play, and we have a lot of players that understand that and can meet those standards. So it sets us up to be, I think, a team that can be very clear, autonomous, and really know how we want to play and go after teams.
There's been some talk about the fact that you haven't been able to create from open play lately. Obviously, you know the stats. Like you've got one game in the last 7 where you've got to go from open play, but you've also lost 1 in 15 and 2 in 22. So it's positive in that regard. What have you had the time now since those March windows? What have you looked at in order to optimize that and increase the opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, look, we have, friendlies are interesting because even when you're a pressing team and you're playing in a friendly, like teams have less to lose, so they'll try to play more and they'll be braver with the way they do things, and it works both ways, Yeah. But certainly. Yeah, I do think we can be more productive in what we're achieving in the final third. We've created some clarity and some demands of this is what it needs to look like when we're in this part of the field, and these are the ideas we want to have. But in all of there, it's giving a structure for the way that we want to be in the final third and the way we want to be around the goal, but also encouraging our players to take chances, to be creative, and that's still a big part of the way we play is like wanting to play with combinations and wanting to be clever and sharp and wanting to try things, flicks and little combinations, and then knowing if we lose it that we can counter-press and go win it back and keep the opponent in that end. So there's a balance of a little bit more demand in terms of the commitment to the structure, and then there's also go and play and make plays and in a World Cup setting, like go for it. Just go for it. Make sure we're not holding back. Make sure we're not worried about mistakes. Like the best way to make mistakes is worried about making them, right? So we're going to make sure that we have a brave team that goes after it and is very clear with what we want.
And of the forwards that you named, obviously I think right now we have 6, not including the wide players. Is it likely 5?
Yeah, it's look. It depends a little bit on some of the. All of these decisions depend a little bit on what we can predict from a health perspective and then form perspective.
Yeah.
Right. So I can see a world where we could go 4 strikers. I could see a world we go 5 strikers. I could see a world we go 6 strikers.
Okay.
And again, even if we go 4, Marcelo can play underneath, Oso can play underneath, Oso can, so we have some flexibility with how we use guys in different spots on the pitch. Jebo can play wide, Tanny can play wide in a pinch. We obviously have some number 9s, clear number 9s, but we have some flexibility with how we can use guys.
And finally, on the last piece of putting everything together, it is a little unusual that you haven't got Alphonso here to assess him, knowing going into that. But is it just literally just trusting Bayern, your team, working with them now? And how does that work with like Richie Larea's fitness and Zoe Bassong's availability? How are you piecing that together?
That's a good question. And yes, we've had our medical teams have had a lot of meetings over the last weeks. I've been, I feel like I've been in contact with Bayern almost daily. We've had to, I think, make sure that the communication is really good and make sure that we're on top of the details and that also the handover goes the way that it needs to so that everybody is clear as to what the next steps are from a daily basis and that the cross-communication is really strong.
Okay.
So it's required us to be on the same page with Bayern and frankly, it's meant that we've had a better and stronger relationship with them, which I think will be better for the future, right? But like I've said this, Christoph Freund and I are friends, and so we're not the 2 medical teams working together, but I think we've been really trying to make sure that the overlap and communication is really strong.
I really feel for him, Alphonso, because he's come back and he's got hurt each time.
Yeah.
And you must, as his gaffer, must be thinking psychologically, like, I don't want to put him out there where he's thinking he's going to get hurt again.
Well, and look, he even had an injury coming into the ACL, and then he had the ACL, and then he's had injuries since.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people, look, when you play at a big club like Bayern Munich, and you're a big player, there's a lot that people want to talk about, right? And in all, how much money he makes and this, and all of it is a loss of the person, right? And so that's where I've tried with everything that obviously we hope and want from Alphonso for our national team and how important he is in the overall quality of the team. I've always tried to think about, man, what's it been like? So I'm the one that goes to Munich to see him, and I'm the one who's encouraging him and reminding him to stay positive and not get frustrated. But obviously he's kind of tired of me hearing me say that, and he's tired of going through the injury again and again and again. And then you have self-doubt, you have self-worry. So in all of there is the person, right? And by the way, when he gets hurt and he's worried that maybe he's going to miss the World Cup, that's a home World Cup where he's the captain. Even when I talked to Bayern, I was like, Uli Hoeneß, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, Oliver Kahn, as great of players as they were in Germany, and now they're with Bayern Munich, and they never captained the World Cup at home. Yeah. That was Michael Ballack. Yeah. That was Beckenbauer. Yeah. So I trying to help everybody understand the human side behind what's been happening with Alphonso is difficult, and we are locked in on trying to do everything we can to support him in every way.
Last couple more. The one positive out of it is that he's played 38% of the minutes under you. So you have found a structure where it's not reliable on what you quote is your best player. Yeah. So that's something that you must be pretty positive about, that you have a team, Richie Larea and other players to go out there.
Look, I've said this often to Alphonso. It's like, he's a really important guy to us, but he knows we have a good team now. Yeah. So the pressure on him, whether he's playing or whether he's recovering or whatever, the pressure on him to do everything and feel like he's in charge of everything, that doesn't exist. It's just we need the best version of Alphonso Davies in our team, right? And so that's what we're working toward. And yeah, I mean, look, our guys feel the same. They know we have a good team. They also believe that with Alphonso we're a better team, but they know we have a good team. And look, a big part of our motivation is going to be, let's go after this. Let's get out of the group. Let's give Alphonso every chance to get himself really going more and more and more. And then as the tournament goes on, we believe that we can get stronger physically, mentally, sharper, and then we can be better and have everyone available and really go after it. So that's our motivation. It's not to win one game. It's not to score one goal. It's to make a run at this,
If you win the group, you get a week off in between
yeah,
games,
that's true.
as you know.
It's 10 days.
Right.
It's 10 days off if we win the group, right? Which is actually too much time.
Right.
But look, we have 6 days in between each match. We have time to develop things. We have time to recover guys and go again. We will push the level at which we play. We will be hard to play against. We will play fast. We will play strong. We will go after teams. Like, this is us, right? This is our identity. So we're going to make sure that that's what we embody in everything we do over the next 2 months.
Last one for you. You're loving this, no? This is what you came for. I mean,
Yeah.
I know those conversations mustn't be easy with the ones who aren't going to make it, but do you have like red pens, pencils, blue colors, like with different charts? Like, it's getting closer. You got to in your own mind tomorrow night when you go to bed. You got to know this.
Well, Chris Armas, he called me this morning and he just checked in and he was my long-term assistant at different places and a long-time teammate. And he was like, "You're coaching in the World Cup.
Yeah.
How do you feel?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would. They're just games, And like, of course, this is a big moment for everybody. But our focus is not on the how big the occasion is and what. Really, our focus is like, we want to just be at our best for important matches, and we want to make sure that we are not letting anything get in the way. That whatever we do at the end of the tournament, whether it's the first knockout game or the final, right? That we have done everything in our power to stay focused, to stay calm, to stay ready, to make sure that we have done everything in our power to go after it and be at our best. That's it. Like, all the other stuff, we have to manage it, but it's all about making sure we're ready to perform.
Appreciate you. All the best.
Right.
See you
All right,
Friday.
man. Okay,
Thank
buddy.
you.